Whoa, it's a great nerd in the wilderness. So I just want to take this time to get something really rare, which is a nerd in the fucking wilderness. And that just to make you a bit jealous before I show you my ugly ass UI, so I'm gonna show you a bit of beautiful nature. And now that that's done, let's show you the UI. Psych!
I'm still not at home, but man's got a video to make. So I'll just take this time and maybe do a short recap with you. If you've seen the last video, you've seen what I've built. I just wrote a small service that synchronizes the files we have on your computer with Google Drive. And basically it just does it all in the background without you having to worry about anything. The only problem with that is I can't really see what's going on unless I'm looking at the console. And the reason I didn't build a UI for it is because I didn't know how. So basically my challenge was learn how to do web UIs, and I won't speak much on the beautiful part, but this is how it turned out.
And I think this thing is too high. Transition. Back at home. Okay, I hope this gives me a nice personality boost in this video. What's up YouTube? Welcome to another episode of Bits by Dre. Didn't I already do an intro? Anyway, so not sure if I stressed this enough, but my web front-end skills pretty much non-existent. So I had to learn the whole thing from scratch, and I started with this really basic tutorial. Like really basic, like learn how to crawl basic. And to be honest, if you know nothing about HTML and CSS, it's a pretty good start. With interactive tutorials and whatnot, I'll leave the link in the description because it really helped me. So basically in my work, I had previous experience with some JavaScript frameworks like React and that dreaded fucking piece of suck the fart out of my ass, Angular. And JavaScript is all fine and dandy for me, but the real problem for me is HTML and CSS. And I always kind of postponed learning it because I thought I would die of boredom or of frustration. And I've reached the stage in my coding career where my frustration level tolerance is so high that I can finally learn CSS. And after doing that super basic tutorial, I got the two key tools that I need to build my project. Flexbox and the UL lead tag, you know, unordered lists and list elements. So there's this tiny part of code that I didn't show you before. Basically I wrote this little WebSocket service around my Drive service so I can request information about files and also send commands to it. So let's finally get started. So first thing I wanted to do is just listing all the files and folders that I have. That's easy enough. Basically I'm just using lead tags for every item. The only problem with that is it looks shit. But then I remember you can actually nest unordered lists instead of other unordered lists. And this comes in pretty handy. With this little trick in mind, I can just assume a folder is an unordered list and all the items in it are lead tags unless it's another folder, which makes it another unordered list inside of it. And the result of that, it kind of looks like this, which is not too shabby for pretty much no CSS at all. And if I add a little border, it already kind of looks like something, right? Now my first feature is basically just opening and closing folders. Check this out. Clickety click click. Click gang baby. Let me get some more of this personality. Now you know man's gotta colorize this app, right? And the borders I showed you just 1 second ago look kinda shit. So I removed the whole border thing and I pimped out my folder node by adding a folder icon that opens and closes. Check this out. Click, click, clickety click, click. Click gang baby. Now let's get to some more pimping. So things I know are if a file has been uploaded, if it's being uploaded, but what I don't know is if it's only remote. So I don't know what the thing in Google Drive looks like. Now, thanks to the wonders of technology, my technology that is, I can get a listing of the remote files as if it was on my own computer. Now, can you predict the feature I'm about to build later? Anyway, the thing I'm doing here is whenever I open a folder, it sends a command to the backend requesting to list the remote folders. Then all I do is a bit of ID matching, which gets me this nice result.
Pretty good.
I am officially out of personality. And right when I need it the most. Okay, so you see this little nav bar here? Pretty shitty. And this took me an embarrassing 3 days to build. I'm not sure I've said this already, but basically I don't know any HTML and CSS. Seriously, what took me 3 days was basically just this drop down thingy here. I just used position absolute and position relative. Did I do it right? I have no idea. But this little thing enables me to switch between the sync folders I set up. One cool thing about having all of this running locally is that I can actually access the files on my system. This obviously wouldn't work if the server was running on some other computer. Then I proceeded to implement this OS-agnostic algorithm that can open any file on any system with the default program. And voila, I can open files from the UI, which can be pretty useful in the future. Another quick feature I just built alongside this one is entering folders and going up again, and try to make it look a little bit less poo-poo by adding some icons to the files. Now for this I use the let's not use too much gray matter on this approach, and I just have a long list of file extensions mapping to the icon that I should use. Boom, next feature. So I'm already doing uploads, right? And I know how much has been uploaded, so why not make a little progress bar out of it? And this is kind of what it looks like. Again, not really going for beauty here. Now we've arrived to the creme de la creme of this project, which is the ability to download files. Is that how you say it? It is. This is probably the hardest part about this project. I'm not really much for sharing joy, so I want to share the pain that it was to implement this feature. Let's start the nerd talk. So the only challenge I was aware of is downloading files from nested folders, because I couldn't download them into nothingness. I had to create the folder structure first and then put it in the correct place. Easy enough. What I didn't consider is that I still have my file watcher running, so when I create folders and files there, it will think that they are new and try to upload them again. So I had to trick the algorithm to think that they are not new. So basically what I had to do is pre-fill the tree with the files and folders that I was about to create before starting the download process. That worked kinda well, but I still had one more issue. So what happens was I would be downloading a big file and it would be downloading it in chunks. And every time one chunk was downloaded, it would modify the last modified field. So even though it already knows the file, it thinks it has changed and must upload it again. By uploading it again, it would overwrite the existing file that was currently being downloaded. And yeah, I lost some data due to that. So I fixed the issue by just setting a downloading field to the element so it wouldn't consider re-uploading it. End of the nerd talk. So for everyone that got that, props. And then after I got downloading files down, I could easily just transform this to download folders too. And this is how it looks like. Pretty sweet, I think. The rest of the features were not really technically challenging, but they are pretty useful, so I'll just skim through them. So I could already open files and folders locally, but I also wanted to be able to open them in Google Drive. I also implemented the basic show in Finder feature that every app has, and obviously the ability to add and remove sync folders. And the last thing I did was to configure the thing to run on startup, so I can always have this running in the background without having to worry about it, and I can access it on my browser whenever I want. So there it is, me keeping my promises. And it might not be beautiful, but at least I kind of learned some UI and I learned some new things. Even though it was kind of a painful process, it's really rewarding in the end. And you get new skills that you can use throughout other projects, which is really useful. And I can finally do something visual for you guys. And got some really good ideas in the pipeline. Now if you don't mind, please smash the subscribe button, because I think it will be really worth it to stick around for the new projects I have in mind. Thanks.